The Galactic Dominion had finally done it. After years of threats, demands, and ultimatums, they had declared war on Earth. The announcement echoed across the galaxy, broadcast on every major communication network. Supreme Chancellor Velker of the Dominion stood before his people, a confident smirk on his face as he addressed the assembled crowds. "The humans have defied us for too long," he declared. "They refused to submit, refused to acknowledge the authority of the Dominion. And now, they will pay the price. Their homeworld will burn, and their resistance will be crushed under the might of our fleets." Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched the speech with mixed emotions. Some saw it as the inevitable end of humanity. Others wondered if Earth would put up a fight. But most believed the outcome was already decided. Humanity was doomed. The Dominion's armada, thousands of warships strong, moved toward the Sol system. Their fleet had conquered dozens of worlds before, leaving nothing but submission or destruction in their wake. They had no reason to believe Earth would be any different. But then, something happened. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in an underground facility hidden from the eyes of the galaxy, a transmission was prepared. The bunker had remained inactive for decades, its systems powered down, waiting for a moment like this. Inside the control room, a figure stood before a massive holographic display. His face was hidden behind a visor, his uniform unmarked. He was not a politician. He was not a diplomat. He was something far older, far more dangerous. He activated the transmission. Across the stars, every major communication channel was interrupted. Every Dominion fleet, every government, every intelligence agency received the same message. A simple screen, black with white text. A voice, deep and calm, spoke in perfect galactic common. "To the Dominion, to the rulers of the galaxy, you believe Earth is weak. You believe we will kneel. You believe we will beg for mercy." A pause. Silence stretched across the void. "You are mistaken." The screen changed. Images appeared, silent footage of Earth's war machines. Fleets hidden in the depths of space. Superweapons never before seen by the galaxy. Weapons that could turn planets to dust. You wanted war. The footage changed again. Dominion fleets from past wars, crushing enemies, leaving entire species in ruin. But then, new images, the same Dominion fleets, now burning, their ships torn apart by unseen forces. The message was clear. Now face the consequences. Then the message cut out. Silence followed. No demands, no threats, no negotiations, just a warning. And then, Earth went dark. No more transmissions, no more activity, no way to tell what was coming. The Dominion's admirals hesitated. For the first time, doubt crept into their minds. Had they made a mistake? The Dominion fleet surged forward, cutting through the void like a tidal wave of destruction. Thousands of warships, bristling with weapons, engines roaring against the blackness of space, moved toward the Sol system. Supreme Chancellor Velker sat in the command center of the flagship Tyrannus, his eyes locked on the holographic display of Earth's last transmission. He had watched it a dozen times, analyzing every frame. It made no sense. No threats, no demands, no surrender, just a warning. And then, silence. Velker clenched his jaw. They think they can intimidate us with empty words. We've conquered countless worlds before. Earth will be no different. His second in command, Admiral Salter, nodded but hesitated. "Sir, intelligence reports indicate that after the transmission, all human activity disappeared. No signals, no defenses activated. It's as if they simply vanished." Velker scoffed. A desperate trick. They know their time is up. But deep in his mind, an uneasy feeling took root. The first wave of Dominion scouts entered the Sol system. Their orders were simple: scan Earth, analyze its defenses, and confirm that the planet was as weak as expected. As the sleek, black warships moved past the orbit of Pluto, they found nothing. No patrols, no defense satellites, no human ships. It was as if Earth had been abandoned. Scanning for life signs, one of the Dominion officers reported, "Strange. I'm detecting large energy readings, but they're buried deep beneath the surface. Send the data back to command," the squad leader ordered. The signal never reached Tyrannus, because in the next instant, the scouts vanished. No distress signals, no explosions, no debris. Just gone. Velker, watching from the Dominion flagship, slammed his fist against the console. "What happened? Where's the fleet?" "Unknown, Chancellor," a technician stammered. "They entered the system, and then, nothing. No trace of them left." Velker's hands tightened into fists. "This is impossible. Planets don't just swallow fleets whole. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's hidden bunkers, the silence continued. But the war had already begun. Across the Sol system, invisible weapons activated, technology beyond anything the Dominion had ever faced. Humanity had learned from the countless wars waged across the galaxy. They had prepared. And now, they struck without ever showing their face. The Dominion was not just facing an enemy. They were facing ghosts. The Dominion armada hung at the edge of the Sol system, motionless, like a predator assessing its prey. But something was wrong. Entire squadrons had disappeared without a trace. No wreckage, no distress calls, no signs of battle. Just silence. On the bridge of the Tyrannus, Supreme Chancellor Velcor paced in frustration. "This is absurd," he growled. "Find them." Admiral Salter studied the data before him, his mandibles clicking in unease. "Chancellor, our long-range sensors are struggling to penetrate the inner system. Something is interfering." "Explain." "We expected primitive technology, but instead, Earth is unreadable. There's an energy field surrounding the planet, disrupting our scans." Velcor narrowed his eyes. "A planetary shield." "No, sir. It's not blocking us. It's hiding something." A cold shiver ran through the crew. No species in the galaxy had mastered cloaking technology on such a massive scale. Yet here was Earth, a supposed backwater planet, making an entire system vanish. Velcor turned to the tactical officer. "Send a second fleet. Heavy warships. Full attack formation. I want every inch of this system searched." Zaltor hesitated. "Sir, we don't even know what happened to the first fleet." Velcor's glare hardened. "Then let's find out." The second wave entered Sol space cautiously, weapons charged, scanning the void for any sign of their missing comrades. "Spread formation," ordered Commander Circle of the Dominion battlecruiser Dagger's Fang. "All ships maintain constant communication." The fleet advanced, cutting through the emptiness. Mars came into view, a barren, lifeless rock, just as expected. But Earth was silent. No visible fleets, no signs of orbital defenses. "Where is their navy?" Circle muttered. Then the alarms screamed. One by one, Dominion warships flickered off the sensors. No explosions, no energy signatures. Just gone. Panic spread through the fleet. "Pull back," Circle shouted. "Retreat tow." His voice cut off. Dagger's Fang vanished from existence. On the Tyrannus, Velcor watched in horror as his fleet dissolved into nothingness. One moment, thousands of warships stood ready to crush humanity. The next, they were gone. No enemy fire, no visual confirmation of an attack. Just silence. Velcor's claws dug into the armrest of his throne. "What is happening?" Admiral Salter's voice was hollow. "Chancellor, I don't think we invaded them." Velcor turned slowly. "Then what do you think happened?" Zalter swallowed. "I think they let us in." And the moment those words left his mouth, the stars around them flickered, as if something massive was moving in the darkness. The silence was unbearable. On the bridge of the Tyrannus, Supreme Chancellor Velcor clenched his claws, his tail flicking with unease. His fleets, thousands of Dominion warships, had vanished without a trace. No distress calls, no wreckage, just an unnatural void where his forces should have been. The Tyrannus and a handful of remaining warships drifted at the edge of the Sol system, alone in the darkness. "This is impossible," Velcor growled. "Where did they go?" Admiral Salter's voice was strained. "Sir, we have lost all contact with our forces inside the system." Our last transmission from Dagger's Fang cut off mid-sentence. Velcor's claws tapped the metal armrest of his throne. He had crushed countless worlds, annihilated entire civilizations, but never had an enemy fought like this. Never had an enemy not fought at all. "Scan the system again," he ordered. Zalter nodded, his mandibles twitching as he relayed the command. Deploying long-range probes. The bridge fell into a tense silence. The crew whispered among themselves, their usual confidence wavering. Then the probes returned data, and the bridge went deathly still. There were no bodies, no wreckage, no debris. It was as if the Dominion fleet had been erased from existence. Velcor's frill flared. "This has to be a trick. They must be hiding somewhere." But before Zalter could respond, the lights on the bridge flickered. The crew turned as one toward the main viewport. Something was moving in the void. At first, it was barely noticeable, a distortion against the endless black of space. But then the stars behind it twisted, warped by some unseen force. And then, shapes emerged. Enormous jagged vessels materialized from the darkness, their hulls black as the void itself. They moved without sound, without energy signatures, their sheer presence warping reality around them. The crew of the Tyrannus stared in horror. These were not Dominion ships. These were not alien ships. These were human warships. And they had been waiting. Velker's throat tightened. This is impossible, he whispered. Humanity was wiped out centuries ago. The largest ship, a monstrous dreadnought that dwarfed even the Tyrannus, loomed closer. Its hull bore no insignia, no name, just deep scars of ancient battles long forgotten. A transmission crackled through the silence. A voice, cold, mechanical, ancient. You should not have come. Then, without warning, the human fleet attacked. You said. Panic erupted on the bridge of the Tyrannus. Velker barely had time to react before the first human warship opened fire. There was no traditional energy signature, no warning, just sudden, devastating destruction. A beam of pure white light lanced across the void, carving through the Dominion battleship Iron Fang like it was made of paper. The ship didn't explode. It simply came apart, its atoms scattering into nothingness. Velker's frill flared in disbelief. Impossible. What kind of weapon? A second blast. Another Dominion warship vanished. Zalter shouted, his voice cracking. They're not using conventional weapons. These air. A human warship streaked past at impossible speed, its black hull blending with the void. It fired no visible projectiles, only brief pulses of energy, followed by the sudden disappearance of Dominion ships. This wasn't warfare. This was extermination. Velker's mind raced. He had fought dozens of species, crushed rebellions, annihilated planets. He had never seen anything like this. His forces weren't losing a battle. They weren't fighting at all. They were prey. Retreat, Velker roared. All ships, break formation, and jump tow. His words were drowned out by an eerie sound, the first sound from the human fleet. It wasn't a communication signal. It was laughter. The transmission echoed through every Dominion warship. Low, cold, inhuman. And then the human fleet moved. They didn't fight like any species Velker had ever encountered. They didn't form battle lines. They didn't deploy defensive barriers. They hunted. Stealth ships flickered in and out of view, striking with pinpoint accuracy before vanishing again. Unseen weapons lanced through Dominion hulls with surgical precision, erasing entire squadrons. Zalter's mandibles clicked in terror. They're cutting off our escape routes. Velker's mind screamed for a solution. There had to be a way out. There had to be. The lights on the bridge dimmed. A new transmission came through. The same cold, mechanical voice. You declared war on ghosts. Velker's breath hitched. Now face the consequences. And then the human fleet closed in. You said the Dominion fleet was breaking apart. Velker stood frozen on the bridge of the Tyrannus, watching in horror as his once mighty armada collapsed. Human ships moved like nothing he had ever seen. They didn't follow standard battle formations. They weren't bound by physics as he understood them. They slipped through the void like shadows, striking and vanishing before his ships could react. Their weapons didn't simply damage Dominion warships. They erased them. One moment, a battlecruiser was there. The next, it was gone. No explosion, no wreckage, just empty space where thousands of soldiers had once been. Supreme Commander. Zalter's voice was high with panic. They're jamming our escape coordinates. The hyperdrives won't lock. Velker's claws gripped the console, his mind racing. This wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. The humans weren't just winning. They had been waiting for this. The Dominion had walked into a trap. The eerie human laughter still echoed through the comms, chilling every soldier to their core. Then, a new message came through. You should have left us in peace. The human ships stopped firing. For a long, agonizing moment, the Dominion fleet floated in silence. Then, the humans unleashed something new. A single ship moved forward. A massive, ancient warship, larger than anything Velker had ever seen. Its hull was dark, almost organic, as if it had grown rather than been built. Strange markings flickered across its surface, unreadable but undeniably human. Velker's frills twitched. What is that? Zalter's voice was barely a whisper. That's not a warship. That's a judgment. The massive human vessel released a pulse of blue light. Instantly, the Dominion ships froze. Engines failed. Shields flickered out. Weapons went cold. Every system, every circuit, every piece of Dominion technology died. Velker's screens turned black. The bridge lights flickered and died. Only emergency lighting remained, casting everything in an eerie red glow. Systems are down. Zalter cried. We've lost all power. We're Velcor barely heard him. Outside the viewport, the human ships were moving closer. This was it. This was judgment. Velcor could only watch as the massive human warship loomed closer. It moved without sound, without hesitation, like a specter of death passing judgment. The Dominion fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, now drifted powerless in the void. A deep, resonating voice crackled through the ship's emergency speakers. It was human, but unlike anything Velcor had ever heard, it carried finality. You came to burn our world. You came to end us. Now you will learn what it means to face extinction. A brilliant light flared from the warship, and suddenly, gravity itself twisted. Velcor felt it before he understood it. The very space around his ship warped, dragging the Tyrannus forward like a leaf caught in a storm. The Dominion ships, thousands of them, were being pulled toward the human warship. No, not toward it. Into something behind it. A massive, swirling void had opened in space, an artificial singularity. Not a black hole. This was controlled. Deliberate. The work of minds that had mastered destruction itself. One by one, the Dominion ships were consumed. Velcor's fleet, the pride of his people, was being erased. Not destroyed, removed from existence. Panic erupted across the bridge. We have to retreat. Zaltor screamed. We have to. There's nowhere to go, Velcor muttered. He watched as ship after ship vanished into the swirling abyss. No wreckage, no debris, no sign they had ever existed at all. His claws trembled. This isn't war. Zaltor turned to him, his eyes wide with fear. What is it? Velcor swallowed hard. His voice came out in a whisper. This is a warning. And then the Tyrannus began to fall. Velcor had never known true silence until now. The Tyrannus tumbled helplessly, its systems fried, its weapons useless. Around him, the remnants of the once mighty Dominion fleet were being erased, not destroyed, but unmade. The artificial singularity, summoned by the humans, devoured everything in its reach. No wreckage, no bodies, no war memorials, just absence. He struggled to breathe as the last transmission from Earth echoed across the dying fleet. You came seeking war. You did not understand the price. You have taken much from us. Now you will give everything in return. A brilliant light flared across the void. Velcor squeezed his eyes shut. And then, nothing. No sound, no pain, no existence. The galactic dominion ceased to be. Far away, deep within the hidden bastions of Earth, humanity watched. They had spoken their final warning. And the galaxy would never forget.